January 10th, 2015 from CenturyLink Field in Seattle, Washington. It was the NFC Divisional round of the playoffs, and this matchup had the Carolina Panthers at the Seattle Seahawks. And the Panthers would get the ball first, and they would start with it on their own 26 after the opening kickoff. And on their first possession, they went 3 and out, and so they would punt from their own 29. So now the Seahawks would take over after the punt on their own 36 with about 13.5 left in the first quarter. And on the first down, Russell Willson hit Doug Baldwin for an 11-yard reception that brought the ball to the 47 for a first down. But they failed to pick up another first down, and they ended up punting from the Carolina 44 after 4 plays on the possession. So now the Panthers would take over on their own 11 with 11 minutes left in the first, and they went 3 and out for their second consecutive possession as the Seattle defense was holding them down and playing excellently. And so now the Seahawks would take over on their own 29 with less than 10 minutes left in the first, and they would end up going 3 and out on the possession and punting from their own 32. And so now the Panthers would take over on their own 13 after the punt with a little less than 8.5 left in the first quarter. And on 3rd and 4 from the 19, out of the shotgun, Cam Newton dropped back, and he was intercepted by Richard Sherman. As Sherman made an incredible play as he intercepted it by the sideline. And so now the Seahawks would take over after the pickoff by Sherman. And the Seahawks had on their own 38 with 7 minutes on the clock in the first. They would end up bringing the ball into Carolina territory when Russell Willson hit Kearse for a 33-yard reception on 3rd and 12 from the 36 that brought it to the Carolina 31 for a first down. But then penalties would bring them backwards, and they ended up having a punt from the Carolina 42 after 6 plays on the possession. And now the Panthers would take over after the punt on their own 11 with about 4.5 minutes left in the first. And they ended up bringing the ball up, getting a first down with a pass from Newton to Tolbert for 14 yards on 3rd and 4 from the 17 to make it a first down on the 31. An incomplete pass brought up 2nd down. And out of the shotgun, Cam Newton ended up fumbling the ball, and it was picked up by McDaniel. And so now the Seahawks would take over on the Carolina 28 with about 2.5 left in the first. And on first down, Russell Willson went to Doug Baldwin. He picked up 11 yards in the first down in the red zone at the Carolina 17. Beast mode Marshawn Lynch then ran for a yard, but then an incomplete pass would go up 3rd and 9 from the 16. Out of the shotgun, Russell Willson hit Doug Baldwin for a 16-yard touchdown, and the Seahawks put the first points on the scoreboard. So it was now Seattle 7, Carolina 0. So now with less than a minute left in the first, the Panthers would take over after the kickoff on their own 21. They gave it to John Stewart. He ran 15 yards to the Carolina 36. Cam Newton then went to Brown. Philly Brown picked up 14 and a first down at the 50 as the first quarter came to a close. So after 1 quarter of play, the score was Seattle 7, Carolina 0. So now to begin the second quarter was a first down on the 50 for the Panthers. Cam Newton ended up taking it up the middle for 9 yards to the 41 of Seattle. But then a run for no gain by Stewart would bring up 3rd and 1. Cam Newton then took it himself for 2 yards in the first down with the QB sneak to bring the ball to the 39. And then they gave it to D'Angelo Williams. He ran it 6 yards, and then an incomplete pass will make it 3rd and 4 on the 33. Cam Newton then went to Philly Brown. He picked up 10 and a first down at the 23. Then they gave it to D'Angelo, and he picked up 8 yards. And that made it 2nd and 2 at the 15. Stewart picked up a yard. Now it was 3rd and 1 at the 14. They gave it to the fullback, Tolbert. And Tolbert picked up 3 and a first down at the Seattle 11. Then a run by Stewart for a yard and another run by Stewart for 3 yards. Brought up 3rd and 6 from the 7. Cam Newton out of the shotgun goes to the rookie Kelvin Benjamin. And it's a 7-yard touchdown, and this game was tied up at 7 apiece. So now the Seahawks would take over with about a little less than 8 minutes left in the second quarter. They had on their own 23 after the kickoff. Marshawn Lynch ran 8 yards to bring the ball to the 31 for 2nd and 2. They then gave it back to Beast Mode. He ran it 3 yards. Now it was first down at the 34. He got stopped for no gain. And then Russell Wilson ended up throwing a pass to Lynch. He picked up 3, and now it was 3rd and 7 on the Seattle 37. Out of the shotgun, Russell Wilson dropped back, and he hit Kearse for a 63-yard touchdown. And now the Seahawks were back in the lead with the score, Seattle 14, Carolina 7. So now the Panthers would take over with less than 5 minutes left before halftime. They had it on their own 21 after the kickoff. They're faced with a 3rd and 10 from the 21. Cam Newton went to Jericho Cotchery. He picked up 13 yards in the first down at the 34. Newton then went to Bresson. He picked up 11 yards in the first down at the 45. Stewart then picked up 4 yards, but a face mask penalty against the Seahawks would make it a first down for the Panthers on the Seattle 36. Then on 3rd and 9 from the 27, Cam Newton ended up picking up 8 yards. He ended up fumbling, but it was declared that it was actually the ball was dead. So now it was 4th and 1. Both teams had taken a timeout. And so at the Seattle 27, they elected to go for it. And Cam Newton, QB sneak, picked up the first down. They actually went out there and measured it. And so it was a first down for the Panthers at the Seattle 26. And then they would be faced with a 3rd and 8 from the 24. Tolbert then ran up the middle for 7 yards. Now it was 4th and 1 on the 17. But then they got called for a false start. And so that would bring them back to the 22. And Graham Gano attempted a 40-yard field goal. It was up and it was no good, but there was a penalty for running into the kicker, and so now the Panthers would get a second attempt with no time on the clock because the time cannot expire on a defensive penalty, and so they tacked on 5 yards, and now it would be a 35-yard attempt for Graham Gano. It was up and it was good, and it was now a 4-point game as this game went to halftime with the score Seattle 14, Carolina 10. So now to begin the second half, the Seahawks would get the ball first. They had it on their own 20 after the kickoff, but after 6 plays, they ended up punting from their own 43. So now the Panthers would take over on their own 12 after the punt with 11.5 left in the third. They would end up bringing the ball up to midfield, but after 9 plays, they would punt from their Seattle 49. Cam Newton was sacked on that possession by Cliff Averill earlier, a few plays before, and that was what actually drew him back, because on 1st and 10 from the 41 he was sacked. That brought him back to the 49. They weren't recovered from then, and that's when they punted from there. So now Seattle would take over on their own 12 after the punt with 6.5 minutes left in the third. And on first down, Russell Willson picked up 14 yards with a scramble, and so now it was first down at the 26. They were then faced with a 3rd and 1 from the 35, and Russell Wilson with the Luke Wilson. He picked up 6 yards in the first down at the Seattle 41. Then Marshawn Lynch got the handoff and took it 25 yards all the way across midfield to the Carolina 34 for a first down. And on 2nd and 6 from the 30, Russell Wilson threw an incomplete pass, but it was a defensive holding call against the Panthers. They would make it a 1st and 10 on the 25 for Seattle. Then on 2nd and 6 from the 21, Russell Wilson ran 7 yards for the first down in the red zone at the Carolina 14. And then on 3rd and 3 from the 7, Russell Wilson dropped back and he was sacked by Thomas Davis. And that was the final play of the third quarter. So after 3 quarters of play, the score was Seattle 14, Carolina 10. And so now to begin the fourth quarter, it was 4th and 15 from the Carolina 19. Stephen Hauschka came out to attempt a 37-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Seattle Seahawks had extended their lead to 7 with the score, Seattle 17, Carolina 10. So now after the kickoff, the Carolina Panthers would take over on their own 20 with less than 5 seconds ticked off the clock in the fourth. And they would go 3 and out on the possession and end up punting the ball from the 19. So they actually lost a yard on the possession. So now the Seahawks would take over on their own 42 after the punt with less than 13 minutes left in this game, up by a touchdown. They're faced with a 3rd and 6 from the 46, and Russell Wilson with the Luke Wilson, and he hit him for a 29-yard reception, and it was now first down to Carolina territory at the 25. Then an incomplete pass and a run for no gain brought up 3rd and 10 from the 25. Russell Wilson dropped back, and he hit Luke Wilson for a 25-yard touchdown as Wilson made some amazing moves. Luke Wilson, as he ended up sprinting to the end zone. It looked like there was 3 defenders that were going to just collapse on him and tackle him, but he just left him in the dust, wondering where did Wilson go. He went to the end zone as he extended the Seahawks lead to 14 with the score Seattle 24, Carolina 10. So now the Panthers get the ball with 10.5 minutes left, down by 2 scores. They had it on their own 20 after the kickoff, and on first down, Cam Newton was sacked by Bruce Irvin. So Bruce Irvin comes in and drops him for 8 yards. They would then be faced with 3rd and 13 from the 17 after a 5-yard run by Stewart. And on 3rd down, Cam Newton dropped back. He he hit Dixon. He picked up 19 in the first down at the 36. Then on 2nd and 8 from the 38, Cam Newton went to Kelvin Benjamin. The rookie picked up 12 yards in the first down at the 50. Now the no huddle in the shotgun, Cam Newton went to the tight end Greg Olsen from the U, and he picked up 31 yards in the first down in the red zone at the Seattle 19. Cam Newton then scrambled for 6, and then he actually did some crazy moves there. He actually did a stiff arm to Greg Olsen and threw him on the ground, and then he stiff armed Earl Thomas as well. But that made it 2nd and 4 on the 13. Out of the shotgun, Cam Newton drops back and he hit Dixon. No, it was Cam. Chancellor jumps in front of the ball and takes it all the way 90 yards for the pick 6 and the touchdown, as the Seattle Seahawks were now up by 21 as their defense got in on the scoring, and it was now Seattle 31, Carolina 10. So now the Panthers would get the ball after the kickoff and after the pickoff, and it was 6 minutes left in this game, less than 6 minutes. And on first down, Stewart ran for 16 on the first down of the 33. Then on 3rd and 5 from the 38, Cam Newton went to Benjamin. He picked up 28 yards on first down in Seattle territory, the 34. Then a penalty against the defense will make it a first down on the 29, a 5-yard penalty. And then on 2nd and 1 from the 25, forced Fozzie Whitaker and picking up a yard, and now it's first down on the 24. Cam Newton then went to Jericho Cotchery for a 9-yard reception, make it 2nd and 1 on the 15. And now the no huddle in the shotgun, Cam Newton dropped back and he hit Kelvin Benjamin for a 15-yard touchdown. And it's now back to a 14-point game with the score Seattle 31, Carolina 17. So now the Panthers would go for the onside kick with just 2.5 minutes left to play in this game, and the Seattle Seahawks recovered rather easily as there was no one really around there, and Kearse just had the ball no problem. And so now they had it on their own 43. They would just go to run out the clock, and they forced Carolina to use all of their timeouts. So they actually even picked up a first down as Turbin ran for 3 yards, then 13 yards. So now it's first down on the 41. He then lost 6 yards, but that was when the Panthers used their final timeout. And then Russell Willson went to Kearse for a 33-yard reception that made a first down in the red zone at the Carolina 14 as this game went to the 2-minute warning. And at this point, all that was left to do with Carolina out of timeouts was for Russell Willson to take 3 knees in a victory formation as the Seattle Seahawks advance to the NFC Conference Championship game next week, where they will be hosting the winner of the Cowboys and the Packers, which will be happening tomorrow. That is, if you're listening to this today, or you could be listening to it tomorrow, which would make it happening today, or if you were listening the day after, it would be yesterday. But either way, in this game, final score, Seattle 31, Carolina 17. As I said, the Seahawks are advancing. They will be hosting the NFC Conference Championship for the 2nd consecutive year, as they're going to be defending their Super Bowl championship. The road to the Super Bowl is going to go through Seattle in the NFC. In this game, Russell Willson was 15 for 22 with 268 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. He also had 7 carries for 22 yards on the ground. Cam Newton was 23 for 36 with 246 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And he also had 11 carries for 37 yards. The leading rusher in the game was John Stewart. He had 13 carries for 70 yards. Marshawn Lynch had 14 carries for 59 yards to be the leading rusher for the Seahawks. He also had 3 receptions for 6 yards. And actually, Stewart had 1 reception for 4 yards. The leading receiver in the game was Jermaine Kearse. Jermaine Kearse had 3 receptions for 129 yards and a touchdown for the Seahawks. The tight end Luke Willson had 4 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown. And Doug Baldwin had 3 receptions for 38 yards and a touchdown. And Richardson had 1 reception for 21 yards. And the leading receiver for the Panthers was Kelvin Benjamin. The rookie had 7 receptions for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. And their tight end Greg Olsen had 4 receptions for 58 yards. Dixon had 2 receptions for 33 yards. Cotchery 3 receptions for 25. And Philly Brown had 2 receptions for 24 yards. And on defense, the game's leading tackler was a two-way tie between 2 of the members of the Legion of Boom, Killer Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas III. Each had 11 tackles in this game. And Cam had that interception, that 90-yard pick 6, as he scored for the defense. Of course, Sherman also had an interception earlier in the game. The Seahawks also had 2 sacks. Cliff Averill and Bruce Irvin each had 1 sack apiece. Bobby Wagner had 9 tackles in the game. KJ Wright had 6 tackles. And the defense did an incredible job. They held them to just 10 points until that touchdown in the fourth quarter, and 17 overall in the game. The leading tackler for the Panthers was Tom Davis. He had 10 tackles and a sack. They had 2 sacks total, as the other sack went to Addison. As Mario Addison got that sack, and then Tom Davis. Kuechly had 8 tackles, but no picks for the Panthers, as Russell Wilson was just about perfect. And when it came to third downs, Russell Wilson was perfect, as he was actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, all 3 of his touchdown passes came on third downs, and that third touchdown pass made him 8 for 8 on third down passing attempts. So Russell Wilson is the definition of clutch in this game, as they actually entered into the fourth quarter. It was just 14-10, but then the Seahawks scored 17 unanswered points, with the explanation point by Cam Chancellor that really sealed the deal and the victory. But a great overall performance by the Seahawks on offense and on defense, and especially, as said, Russell Wilson super clutch, and that defense too very clutch as well. And the final score in this one, Seattle 31, Carolina 17.